What does need to happen for Tesla stock to go back to $300 per share? I think Herbert actually made a really good point here. Let's take a listen.
From here to 300, I don't think it needs to have any news. Now, you tell me if I hear from people like some of you, like Christian and others, like say, well, it's going to take that much longer to get to this point, and we need the Q2 numbers to come out. We need these things. Why? It fell from, it was at 400, it fell to 300, it went from 300 to 100, 100 to 3. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't need anything necessarily. And in fact, where are we today compared where we were like 6 months ago? It's just tremendous new milestones we've hit continuously. So the big thing, the big difference is, again, the partnerships and the communication capitulation by the competitors. That's the thing that you're starting to watch. And what I'm seeing now, I'm starting to see Tesla analysts, financial analysts changing their tune. I'm starting to see CNBC, Jeff. Come on. Did you see that clip, Jeff? There was a clip. I think I played it where the CNBC panel basically said Tesla's an AI company, Tesla's a car company, Tesla's an everything company. And they all laughed. Yeah, they are listening to us. But this is CNBC finally talking about Tesla being an AI company and other companies. So it's changing, right? It's happening. So I think that the capitulation by the competitors was the key thing. The narrative had changed, but I don't see why we can't get to 300 now.
So, a lot of positive things actually happened for Tesla stock this year. For me, perhaps the biggest one was Elon Musk focusing back on Tesla because he appointed the new Twitter CEO. And of course, the legacy automakers are capitulating to Tesla and are making deals with Tesla. And recently, that has been a big driver for Tesla stock. But to get to $300 per share, we don't really need to have any new major news. We may have some big news, but I don't think we need big major new news for us to go higher from here. And look at how the mainstream media is talking about Tesla stock.
Their margins are going to come down. You can walk through, there's going to be more competition, but I just really believe that Elon is the Thomas Edison of our time. And not only is he a great inventor, he's a great producer, and he can mass manufacture. And just look what's happening with GM and Ford. Like, for them to go to Tesla just tells you how superior their technology is, even down to their superchargers. So I just think it's a long-term hold. I love what he's doing. And I think that, I own a Tesla, and it's wonderful technology, and it's a fun car to drive.
I think when GM and Ford made their deals with Tesla to access Tesla superchargers, the reason why Tesla stock went up so much is not so much because of the material impact of these deals to Tesla's bottom line, although there will be some impact to Tesla's earnings in a positive way, which then drives Tesla's stock up higher as well. But perhaps what is also really possible is simply the market now is starting to recognize that, GM and Ford, their technology is definitely not going to catch up to Tesla's technology. Maybe the way the market sees this is Ford and GM is just waving a white flag. To me, this has been pretty obvious the whole time, but remember, there are still people that think GM and Ford are going to be better investments than Tesla. I mean, listen to this guy.
I think you know what's on my mind, right? Why do I not own Tesla, but why do I own GM? And Rob just said something pretty smart here. If you've got a strategy, you got to stick to it, all right? You got to stick to your knitting. It's actually something my father said to me a long time ago and drove it home, okay? Now, look, if I buy Tesla at any price, I can't tell you why that is the right price to buy it at. And I have to answer to clients when they say, look, it was 200, it went to 100, why did you buy it at 200? If I can't justify that, I won't do it. Now, in GM, I can justify it, and here's why. Besides the fact that the multiples are too low, besides the fact that the estimates are going up, here's the most important thing. They're buying back shares. This is where valuation matters to a guy like me, okay? They have the cash flow at this price to buy back shares, shrinking their share count 5% year over year at the last quarter, and they're doing it at 70% of book value. I can go on about the autonomous vehicle, the cruise business, the electric vehicle business. I did get a Lyriq. It's a pretty sexy car. I mean, I really kind of like it.
Well, it is going to be very easy to justify Tesla stock going up because Tesla is going to be the #1 biggest automaker in the whole world in the future by far. And number two, Tesla is going to solve full self-driving faster than everyone else and will be able to deploy that technology to pretty much anywhere in the world almost immediately after solving it. And it is very difficult to logically justify Tesla stock going down in the long term. Like when the stock went down to almost $100, how did I justify Tesla stock going down that much? Well, I didn't. I just bought more. Well, in the short term, the price, you could say, maybe it made sense, but in the long term, it was absolutely preposterous and ridiculous for it to stay there for a long time. On the other hand, if GM stock goes down a lot, I can justify that so easily. GM perhaps is going to completely and utterly fail the transition to the EV industry.
So 29 days ago was the shareholder meeting. Since then, there's clearly a focus of Elon now being involved again. Every day there are new headlines. I was until 2 weeks ago convinced we're at Berlin, we're going to expand Berlin, that's by far big enough, and that is going to cover at least Central Europe. And now suddenly we're talking about at least one other gigafactory. I still haven't got whether it's really a mega pack factory or whether this is another car producing factory. So what do you all think about all that?
We know that Elon Musk is trying to pick a new gigafactory location by the end of this year, and India is certainly interesting, he said. Elon has been meeting with so many leaders of countries. For example, this is the president of South Korea, the president of France, Macron, and just now also he met with the Prime Minister of Italy, and yes, she is the Prime Minister of Italy. I somehow feel I need to emphasize that after seeing a picture like this. We also know that Elon recently met the Foreign Minister of China, and we did have a rumor that Tesla is perhaps looking into another factory in China, not just to expand Giga Shanghai, although Tesla is also trying to do that. But there is a rumor, and this is just a rumor, that there is going to be another factory built perhaps in China as well. It's just a consideration. And of course, Indonesia is still in play as well. One thing is very clear. Tesla is very actively looking into aggressive further expansion. And I think Herbert here has a very good point as well.
So I think I have an idea of what's happening. So first of all, we know that Giga Mexico has been planned. They got the blueprints for that. They're moving forward. Tesla's now in a growth stage, right? So they're going to build more of these gigafactories. So he's been visiting all these countries. But I think there's a very special reason why he's visiting Europe. And that's because the European car manufacturers, right? We're talking, Mercedes and Stellantis and Volkswagen, Volkswagen and Audi, BMW, they're in trouble. They're in really big trouble. If you look at their numbers, they're not selling in China anymore. And the Chinese car manufacturers have started to land
enter Europe
and start selling in Europe. And so now there's movement within the European Union to decide how we're going to protect our European car manufacturers. And they're going to decide if they're going to stop the ability for Chinese car imports. So Tesla needs to expand their factory in Europe in case that happens. And he's out there visiting these heads of state across Europe to try to make sure that doesn't happen, or at least doesn't affect Tesla as much as he might affect them. So I think that's what's happening. Like, there is movement right now with European Union. They have to make this a decision. At the end of the day, they're going to have to put definitely another gigafactory in Europe. I don't think it's going to be France. It's okay, Alexander. It's not going to be France. It's not going to be France. It's going to be Spain.
You know how to handle me.
It's going to be Spain. And like I said, what I was saying to you yesterday was, if it is France, it's not like Elon and the Tesla team didn't do their research and found out the labor unions and the issues with the team and productivity and all that. They would have put in rules or ways to get around it. But it's not going to be France. It just won't be. He's just using that, I think, partly for Twitter, communications, and the European Union. That's the kind of stuff that he's working on.
Yeah, let's not forget that France recently threatened to ban Twitter, not just from France, but from all of the European Union. So obviously Elon Musk needs to go and talk to a lot of these politicians. And just because he sees them, it does not mean that he's trying to put a gigafactory in each and every one of these countries, so that he's even considering every one of these countries. A lot of it may just be Twitter, especially France, but also certainly indirectly that would still benefit Tesla a lot because all of these countries see Elon go to other places and have these publicly known meetings. Because maybe if Elon really is going to build a factory here, we need to give him a better deal, because if we don't, someone else will. And we don't want Elon to go and build a factory someplace else. We want Elon to be here.
Honestly, a battery factory in France, I could actually stomach, right? It's just about the labor-intensive stuff. And the north of Italy, as you know from Idra, is very, very good. They have a lot of medium-sized, very good production sites there. So I can imagine something happening in the north of Italy that has to do with manufacturing, not in the south of Italy. And Valencia, of course. Valencia is a. I mean, Spain has couple of other problems. Every country has problems, right? But the Spanish problems are much more manageable than the French problems are.
If I'm not mistaken, Alexander lived in France for more than 20 years. So I think I believe her. I think most likely Tesla is going to put another factory in Spain if it's an auto factory, because Tesla usually just goes where the best talent is. And Spain is the second biggest automaker in Europe, so that makes a lot of sense. On top of that, they would be able to easily communicate with the factory in Mexico because they speak the same language. And in this video, I talk about why Tesla board members are not buying more Tesla stock. My name is Matt Post. Just like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.